Hello and welcome to the course of deep learning. Today we are going to see the activation function which are being preferred in the neural network. So there are majorly there are four types of the threshold. This one activation function which are being preferably used in the neural networks in different layers. So first threshold function, second is sigmoid, rectifier function, and third is the hyperbolic tangent function. So one by one we will have the look on that. So last time we have seen this particular neural structure in which we can have these weights in synaptics which are connecting from the input node to the neuron node, right? And this is the intermediate function that we are going to apply for making certain predictions on the outcome by this neural structure. So this is a generalized diagram for the neural network. Now here we are going to apply the threshold function or the activation function for a certain function or the work to be carried out at the neural site. So when we have this particular threshold function, there can be either of output value that we can expect, that is 1 or 0, based on the input value. If the input value is greater than or equal to 0, then it will be producing the output as a 1, and if the x is less than 0, then it produces the output as a 0. So this is the expected output. As we have already seen that output can be in terms of the binary values also. So threshold function produces the binary output in terms of the 0 and 1 by setting certain threshold value. So this is one function that we can apply at the hidden layer. Sigmoid function is one of the major function which we can apply for the output function as an output function in the output layer, and which can be calculated as 1 upon 1 plus e raised to minus x if the x is greater than or equal to 0, and the condition is like that. So we can have condition that is x is less than 0 or equal to 0. Likewise, based on this particular function, we can have the output of the neural network. So next function is a rectifier function. Here in this case we can have the rectified output of the network, so that we can have the in this particular nature we can have the maximum range of that particular input values. So this is a rectifier function which can be preferred into the hidden layer of the neural network. Next type is a tangent hyperbolic tangent function, tan h function it is also called. It can be calculated based on the 1 minus e raised to minus 2x and 1 plus e raised to minus 2x. So this is the function to be calculated, and it varies in the range of minus 1 to 1. All the earlier functions are varying between 0 to 1, and only the tangent function is varying with the minus 1 to 1. So this is the difference between these tangent functions or activation functions. Now this is a generalized structure. Again, we can have this assuming that this particular binarized output, if we want to have between 0 or 1, then these threshold functions can be applied, threshold activation function can be applied, and if we want to go for the output, then we can apply the sigmoid activation function, which produces the probabilistic approach, that is probability of getting 1, that is y is equal to 1 for this particular output function. So this particular times we can apply the activation function at the respective layer. Now take a simple example of activation function implementation is that suppose this is a neural network starting with the x1 x2 up to xm values, which are provided as an input side at input layer, and these are the input nodes at which these are the respective input values. So these are the nodes. 4 nodes are at hidden layer, where we can have this particular rectifier function in place, and at the output layer we can have this particular sigmoid layer to produce the output value in the range of 0 to 1. As these ranges are between 0 to 1, the sigmoid function is also between the 0 to 1. So naturally the output would be in terms of the 0 to 1 range. and we come to the conclusion that we can implement the activation function or the neural network for processing onto the standardized data to produce a respective output in the given range, as we can set the functions accordingly. Thank you very much. Enjoy deep learning.